My brother's fiancée flirted with me, so I told him the truth at their engagement party. Everyone thought she was perfect. Smart, polite, and acted like she came straight out of a family-friendly TV ad. My brother met her through mutual friends and proposed 6 months later. I had my doubts, but I kept them to myself until she started texting me things no future sister-in-law should ever send. It started small, jokes that felt a little off. "Too bad your brother met me first," was one of the early ones. I laughed it off. I didn't want to make drama, and I thought maybe I misread it. But she kept pushing the line. Every message came with some excuse. She was tipsy. She was joking. She meant it in a sisterly way. Right. Then one night, she sent a photo. Not nudes or anything, but suggestive enough. She was wearing a towel captioned, "Getting ready for a long night. Wish I had better company." No context, no apology, just vibes. I didn't respond. Next morning, she sent a long text saying I must have misunderstood that she was sending it to her friend and hit the wrong name. Sure, because I'm right next to Ashley in your contacts. I kept screenshots. I didn't even know why. Maybe I hoped it would stop. Or maybe I wanted proof in case things got worse. And they did. The day they announced the engagement, she hugged me a little too long and whispered in my ear, "You could have had me if you wanted." That's when I decided I was done staying quiet. My brother isn't stupid, but he's loyal to the point of blindness. He kept defending her even when people joked about her being flirty. He said it was her extroverted nature. He believed she was just trying to be friendly. So I made a plan. I wasn't going to argue with him. I was going to show him. Their engagement party was in 2 weeks. My parents rented a fancy place. Guests were coming in from 3 different cities. Everyone was acting like it was the wedding of the year. I smiled through it all and acted normal. What she didn't know was that I had transferred the screenshots to a private cloud folder. And I printed a few, just in case. The night before the party, she texted me again. "Tomorrow's going to be perfect. Wear something nice. I want to look at you when I say yes." That was it. No more games. I didn't respond. I just opened the folder, printed the towel pic, printed the messages, and then I did something I probably shouldn't have, but I don't regret it. At the party, everything looked like a Pinterest board. Fairy lights, champagne, all the fake smiling. She was walking around like she owned the place. My brother was grinning like an idiot. I waited for the right moment, and then I handed him a sealed envelope. No words, just a look. He opened it in front of everyone, and everything froze. He didn't even finish reading before she tried to grab the envelope out of his hands. Too late. Everyone near him had already seen the towel photo, the screenshots, the messages with timestamps. My parents, her parents, his best friend. No one was smiling anymore. She started panicking. First, she claimed it was a prank. Then she said I faked the messages, that I was obsessed with her, that I must have edited everything to ruin her life. My brother didn't say anything. He just kept looking at the paper, silent, frozen. He turned, walked to the back of the room, and sat down on the stairs like someone had unplugged him from reality. She ran after him. I didn't. Instead, I stood there while all eyes turned to me. I didn't flinch. I didn't apologize. I didn't need to explain anything. Her friends tried to defend her. "He probably led her on," one of them whispered, loud enough for me to hear. That part actually made me laugh. I hadn't replied to a single one of her messages for months. Not one. But it didn't matter because the evidence was already in his hands and no one could unsee it. That night ended in scattered chairs, canceled speeches, and a drunk uncle telling me I could have handled it better. Yeah, maybe. But if I had waited until after the wedding, she'd be in the family forever. The next day, my brother came over, alone. He looked like he hadn't slept. No small talk. He just asked, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I told him because I knew he'd defend her, that he'd accuse me of jealousy or trying to ruin his happiness. That's exactly what would have happened if I didn't show him hard proof. He didn't argue. He knew I was right. He left without saying much else. A week passed. The party was off. Their engagement photo posts disappeared. Her account went private. I didn't hear from her again until 2 weeks later. She showed up at my door, not to apologize, but to threaten. She said I ruined her life, that I owed her an apology, that her friends cut her off, her job was making things awkward, and even her family was treating her like trash. She said I ruined her life, that I owed her an apology, that her friends cut her off, her job was making things awkward, and even her family was treating her like trash. I let her talk. Then I pointed to the camera on my door. I told her to leave unless she wanted the footage of her showing up uninvited to join the rest of her greatest hits online. She left, again. A few days later, her number called me 5 times in a row. I didn't answer. She messaged me something unhinged about how I was too scared to admit I wanted her, that this was revenge because I knew I could never have her. I sent her back one sentence: "Don't text me again." She didn't, but now the damage was spreading wider than I thought. Turns out she had a thing for attention, and my brother wasn't the first guy she'd cheated on. Her ex reached out to me after the story started circulating through mutual friends. He sent me his own set of screenshots. Same pattern, same lines, same towel. It was her thing. She tested boundaries for fun, got off on attention, and for some reason she thought I'd play along. I didn't. And now she was radioactive. My brother? Still not okay. He wasn't going to work, wasn't answering most texts. My mom called me and said, "You broke him." I told her I didn't break anything. I just turned on the light. Now half the family is acting like I ruined everything. The wedding, the mood, the image. But none of them were the ones getting those texts at 1 a.m. None of them saw her play innocent in front of the cake she helped design while planning her next message. They want to move past it, pretend it didn't happen. But I'm not sorry, not even close. Because that wasn't even the craziest part. That came later, when I found out she had a backup plan in case my brother dumped her. And that backup was someone I actually knew. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I found out. I got a message from Ryan, one of my closest friends since high school. We don't talk daily, but we've always stayed tight. He wrote, "Hey, can I talk to you about her?" He didn't even say her name, just her. That was enough. I called him. He told me he felt like an idiot for not saying something sooner. Apparently, a few months back, before the engagement was official, she started messaging him too. Harmless at first, then pushing it. Jokes, late night texts. "If things don't work out with your friend, I'd pick you next," she wrote once. Ryan never took it seriously. He thought she was just messing around. But when he saw the screenshots I dropped at the party, he felt sick. He admitted he'd never told me because he didn't want to cause drama. Same excuse I used. Ironic. We both stayed silent because we wanted to protect my brother from the truth. I asked him if he still had the messages. He did. He sent them over. Same pattern, same flirting, different guy. It became obvious she didn't care which of us said yes, me or Ryan. She just wanted options. My brother was the ring. We were the what ifs. That's when I realized something I hadn't let myself say out loud. She was never in love with him. Not really. She loved the setup, the attention, the idea of being part of our family, having eyes on her, being admired, and when she lost that, she crumbled. But she wasn't done. I got a call from an unknown number a few days later. I picked up without thinking. It was her. She sounded calm, too calm. Said she wanted to make peace. Said we both handled things badly. That if we had just talked privately, none of this would have happened. She started crying. I didn't buy a second of it. I told her to stop calling. I told her if she ever tried to reach out again, I'd forward everything to her workplace. Her crying stopped real quick after that. She hung up. That was the last I heard from her directly, but not the last of the mess. My brother stayed low for a while. Then one day he texted, "You saved me." I wish it didn't have to be that way, but you saved me. That's all he wrote. We're not back to normal. I don't think we ever will be. There's still weird tension. Like, part of him hates that I was right. But deeper down, he knows I did the only thing that made sense. Our parents still act weird about it. They miss the idea of the wedding, the big day, the photo ops. They don't really ask how my brother's doing. They ask when he's going to get back out there. Ryan and I talk more now, bonded by the insanity. He said he almost feels guilty for not warning me sooner. I said we were all just trying to avoid setting off a bomb. In the end, I had to be the one to light the fuse. She's still around apparently. Changed her socials, rebranded herself, pretends like nothing ever happened. I saw her on a dating app a few weeks back. New name, new hair, same pose, same towel photo. Swiped left. This whole thing didn't give me closure. Didn't give me peace. It just proved that trusting your gut matters. That being the villain in someone else's story doesn't mean you're wrong. People ask why I didn't just stay quiet. Why I had to blow it up. Because no one else was going to. And if I didn't, she'd be married into our family by now. Still texting other guys. Still smiling in group photos. Still looking at me like I was her second choice. No thanks. Honestly, this story hit hard because it shows how being the bad guy in the moment sometimes means you're the only one doing the right thing. The narrator could have kept quiet, avoided conflict, let his brother walk into a trap, but he didn't. He burned the bridge with purpose. It wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. And yeah, it was messy. People got hurt, but letting someone like her into the family would have been so much worse long term. Sometimes doing the hard thing makes everyone uncomfortable, but it's still the right thing. And now, we move on to the next story. My mom secretly sold my inheritance while I was abroad, then acted confused when I came home to nothing. I was gone for just under 2 years, got a scholarship to study abroad, and didn't think twice. Before I left, I handed my mom the keys to the house my dad left me. Not rented, not shared. mine, in the will. My name on everything. She cried when I told her I was leaving, said she was proud, said the house would be waiting for me. When I came back, it was gone. I didn't even find out right away. I landed, took a cab, and tried to open the gate. Different car in the driveway, different curtains. A man I'd never seen before answered the door like I was the intruder. He said, "Can I help you?" I thought it was a mistake. I called my mom. She answered like nothing was wrong. I asked her why someone else was living in my house. She went silent, then said, "Oh, we need to talk." No apology, no warning, no, "I'm sorry I didn't tell you." Just, "We need to talk." She sold it. That's what she told me. Claimed it was too much to maintain and that she had no choice. I asked her where the money was. She said it went to bills, medical things, keeping things afloat. I asked her why she didn't call, message, email, anything. She said, "You were busy." That night, I slept at a friend's place. I couldn't look at her, couldn't be near her. My whole life, that house was the one thing my dad left me. He died when I was 17. Everything else went to her. The house was mine. I spent the next few days digging, asking questions, calling the family lawyer, pulling property records. Turns out she sold it a year ago. Not recently, not in an emergency. She had been lying for over a year. I also found out she had a boyfriend, a man she met not long after I left. He wasn't at the house when I visited her, but I saw his name on a joint account when I later got access to documents she left on her desk. He wasn't just a boyfriend, he was part of the reason she sold the house. The sale price? Almost double what she told me. She lied about that too. I checked her social media. Vacation photos in Greece, new wardrobe, new car, not a sign of struggling or keeping things afloat. And him, always next to her, smiling like he won the lottery. I guess he did. I confronted her again, this time in person. She didn't deny it. She just looked annoyed. Said I was being ungrateful and dramatic. Said the house was a burden and she did what was best for everyone. I wasn't part of everyone, apparently. She also said, "It's just a house. You can always buy another one." No remorse, no guilt. She sold the last piece of my father without blinking. That's when I decided if she was going to treat me like a stranger, I was going to treat her like one too. Because this wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. And I was done pretending she was still my mother. After that first conversation, I went no contact for a while. I needed space. But more than that, I needed proof. Real proof. Not just my word against hers. Because deep down, I knew she wasn't stupid. She knew what she was doing. She didn't just sell the house and forget to tell me. She covered it up, erased it from conversations, acted like it never existed. I started by requesting the will. I had a scanned copy from when my dad passed, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't a newer one. There wasn't. Everything matched. The house was 100% mine. She wasn't allowed to touch it. Not legally. Then I pulled the sale documents. She forged my signature. That was the turning point. She forged it to make the sale go through without my consent. Not power of attorney, not some loophole, forgery. A full signature under my name, pretending I had agreed to sell the house. I brought it to the lawyer. He looked at the papers and immediately said, "You've got a case." It got worse. Turns out she opened a line of credit using the house while I was abroad, then defaulted, and the debt got buried in the sale terms. She used that money to pay off his car loan. I found the transaction. I saw the bank names. I followed the paper trail like a bloodhound. Everything she told me was a lie. It wasn't about bills. It wasn't about emergencies. It was about him, her boyfriend, the one I hadn't even met. I asked around. My aunt, my dad's sister, had met him once. She called him a walking red flag. No job. Always bragging. Always hinting at how lucky he was to be dating someone with assets. She told me she always assumed my mom was paying for everything, but didn't realize it was my inheritance funding their life. I showed her the papers. Her jaw dropped. That's when I made my decision. I wasn't just going to yell at my mom. That would do nothing. I wasn't going to beg for an apology. That ship had sailed. She crossed a line that couldn't be undone, so I called the lawyer again. We started building the case, forgery, unauthorized sale, misuse of inherited property. I had screenshots of her texts, proof of when the sale went through, and financial records showing where the money ended up. The boyfriend was tied to all of it, but I didn't tell her yet. I wanted her to feel comfortable. To think I had dropped it, I needed time to prepare, so I stayed quiet until the family reunion. That was the next big event. My dad's side planned a memorial lunch, his birthday, the kind of thing my mom usually skipped. But this year she showed up, smiling, holding his photo, playing the part of the grieving widow. She didn't expect me to be there. She definitely didn't expect what I brought. I waited until halfway through the meal, when everyone had food on their plates and she was mid-story about how proud Dad would be of all of us. That's when I stood up and pulled out the documents. I didn't raise my voice. I just handed out the proof, one by one. across the table. No yelling, no drama. Just cold, clear facts. My aunt read it first, then my uncle, then the others. My mom was still smiling until she realized what I was handing out. She went pale. I looked her in the eye and said, "This is everything you took from me." She stood up and started sputtering something about how I was twisting the truth. But no one believed her. Not anymore. Because they saw her signature next to mine. And they saw mine was fake. She left the reunion early. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't even try to finish her plate. Just grabbed her purse and walked out while everyone stared at her like they didn't recognize the woman who just spent 20 minutes pretending to be a grieving widow. My phone started blowing up the next morning. Her calling nonstop, then texts. First pretending nothing happened. "Can we talk?" Then guilt tripping. "After everything I've done for you." Then threats. "You're ruining your own life, not mine." I didn't reply. The only person I answered was the lawyer. We had enough for a civil case and possible charges for fraud and forgery. He filed the paperwork the following week. She was served at her boyfriend's place. Apparently, he wasn't thrilled to find out she'd committed fraud to bankroll their fresh start. I heard through my aunt that he left her within days, packed his things and ghosted. She tried to call me again after that voicemail saying she was alone, broke, lost everything. She still didn't say sorry, not once. The court process took months. She dragged it out. Claimed she thought she had verbal permission, lied on every form, played the doting mother, told the judge she did what she did out of love. The evidence said otherwise. Emails, bank transfers, signed contracts. The fake signature didn't match mine, and a handwriting expert confirmed it. Her boyfriend's name was all over the money trail. Her vacations lined up perfectly with big withdrawals. She looked small at that hearing, dressed down, hair messy. But even then, she tried to guilt everyone in the room. Told the judge I was destroying her life over a house. Like it was just some property, not my father's legacy. I won the case. She was ordered to repay a large portion of the sale. Of course, she didn't have it anymore, but it's in the system now. Court-enforced repayment plan, wage garnishment, and permanent record of fraud tied to her name. I didn't get the house back, but I made sure she couldn't pretend it didn't happen. And now, I'm out. No contact. No second chances. She burned that bridge and torched the land around it. Family still talks. Some say I should forgive her. Others quietly thank me for exposing her. My dad's sister told me something I'll never forget. "Your father would have done the same if he saw what she did to you." That stuck with me. I'm rebuilding now. Slowly. Got my own place. Not as nice as the house I lost, but mine. Fully mine. No lies in the walls. No betrayal under the floors. Sometimes I still think about what would have happened if I didn't check. If I had come home and just accepted her story. If I had trusted her word over the facts. That's the scariest part, because she was counting on that. She knew I trusted her, and she used that to gut me clean. So no, this wasn't just about property or money or even the house. It was about someone who's supposed to protect you being the first person to rob you blind. I took that lesson. I wear it now. Every day. And when people ask why I did it, I just say, because she made me choose, and I finally stopped choosing her.